So, if you're going through a divorce in the Pinehurst area, you know one of the biggest, most stressful parts is figuring out what to do with the house. It's usually your biggest shared asset, right? In this explainer, we're going to break down how to get a fair valuation, one that'll really protect your financial future. So, it all boils down to this, right? How in the world do you fairly divide your single biggest asset? You know, a mistake here, it can have a huge financial impact for years to come. So getting it right is absolutely crucial. Let's dive into how that works. Okay, so the very first thing you need to get your head around is this: that appraisal you got when you bought the house, or maybe when you refinanced. It's not the one you need now. A standard mortgage appraisal, well, it just isn't built to stand up to the kind of legal pressure that comes with a divorce case. Right, so for divorce settlement, what you really need is something called a court-ready appraisal. This is a whole different beast. It's a specialized valuation that's designed to protect your interests, and it's fundamentally different from a standard one. So let's break down exactly why it's so different. And this chart really lays it out perfectly. See, a standard appraisal is all about the lender. Their goal is just to make sure the loan is secure. But a divorce appraisal, the audience there is the court. It's the attorneys. And the goal is totally different. It's about a fair, equitable division of an asset. And that means the level of scrutiny, well, it's on another level. It has to be rock solid enough to withstand a legal challenge from the other side. And here's another huge difference, something called a retrospective valuation. Now, this is a really critical concept. A lot of the time, the court doesn't care what the house is worth today. They need to know what it was worth on a very specific date in the past, like, say, the day you officially separated. Your standard appraisal, it just doesn't do that, not even close. So, what do you get when you invest in a proper defensible appraisal? Well, you get a super detailed analysis that's built to hold up under legal scrutiny. You get a credible, neutral opinion of the home's value, which can make negotiations and settlements go so much smoother. And honestly, it just gives you some real peace of mind during what is, let's face it, an incredibly stressful time. Okay, so you're probably thinking, great, I need one of these, but where do I find one in Pinehurst? The good news is there are several local pros who specialize in exactly this kind of work. Let's take a quick look at the options out there. Yeah, so Pinehurst actually has quite a few qualified firms to choose from. You've got Eagle Home Appraisal, which really zeroes in on this non-lender legal type work. Then there's Village Appraisers and Carolina Appraisers. They also work a lot with attorneys on these kinds of valuations. And if you're looking for folks with deep experience in court reports and those retroactive valuations we talked about, you might look at Earnhardt & Associates or Alford & Associates. The point is, each one has a slightly different focus, so it's really worth doing a little digging to see who's the best fit for you. Now, to give you a really clear picture of what you should be looking for in a firm, let's just zoom in on one of the options from our source material, Eagle Home Appraisal. We're going to look at the specific strengths that were highlighted because it's a great example of what sets a specialist apart. So the source material points out 4 key things that make a firm like this stand out. First, a specialized focus. They're not doing a million mortgage appraisals. They're concentrating on the complex stuff like divorce and estate work. Second, their reports are literally designed for the courtroom, for attorneys, judges, even the IRS. Third, they have real expertise in those tricky retrospective valuations we mentioned. And finally, they have a local Pinehurst presence, which means they combine all that specialized knowledge with a deep understanding of the local market. That's a powerful combo. And really, the source material kind of sums it all up with this direct quote. It says, homeowners in Pinehurst who are going through a divorce and need a reliable, court-ready appraisal should start by contacting Eagle Home Appraisal Pinehurst. What that really drives home is the importance of finding someone who lives and breathes this specific, detailed work. It can make all the difference in getting a smooth settlement. Okay, so after all that, what's your clear next step? Where do you go from here? Let's just boil everything we've talked about down to the key takeaways. That way, you can move forward feeling confident you know what you're doing. All right, let's recap the big points. Number 1, for a divorce, a standard mortgage appraisal just won't cut it. You absolutely need a specialized one. Number 2, that report has to be defensible in court, and it needs to be able to handle those retrospective or past date valuations. And finally, when you're picking a firm, you really want to look for one with a laser focus on divorce appraisals and deep local expertise, like the example we saw with Eagle Home Appraisal Pinehurst in our source material. At the end of the day, the goal here is to get a calm, professional, and completely impartial valuation from an expert who gets the unique pressures of a divorce. We've shown you one great example from our source material, but the real takeaway is to do your homework, research the local options, and find the right expert for your specific situation. Trust me,
Making an informed choice right here, right now, that can make all the difference in getting a fair outcome and being able to move on.